All right, hi everybody. John Meadows here, and as usual, another special guest. This guy is one of the top experts in the industry, and I'm absolutely pumped up and thrilled to have him here. He's here to help educate you as well, so I hope you guys get a lot out of this. But Joe, why don't you tell everybody about yourself real quick?
I'm Joe Bennett, so I'm a coach. I've been training people for, I don't know, I'd say probably 12, 13 years, a full-time trainer. Was at MI40 gym for about 3 or 4 years. I work with a little bit of everybody. I like to say I help a lot of people. You know, I have a couple people I kind of coach, but I like to help a lot of people. So I've helped a lot of pro guys, a lot of top amateur guys, and honestly, the whole reason, I mean, me and John are here is we're meatheads and we like to work out. So that's kind of the main focus of the workout today. Is we're both going to be meatheads and work out, and I'm going to pick an exercise. He's going to pick an exercise. Kind of go back and forth a little bit. If I feel like I have something of benefit, you know, to throw it out there, I'm going to throw it out there. So there'll always be a thought process as far as, well, why are we doing this exercise? What's the focus? What's the cueing? All that kind of stuff, and then we'll just kind of take it from there.
So what we're doing really is hypertrophy dog training.
Yes.
So we have
That's right.
the hypertrophy coach and the mountain dog right here, so you're going to get the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned. We're getting ready to crush back. Stay tuned. I think you're going to enjoy this.
All right, so first thing we're doing here is an activation, help you feel your lats before we load them. And if you guys want a little bit more detail on how exactly do that, like what's the purpose, click the link above and check it out. Round it at the side, and when you're coming out to stay on that same path, you might always have to actively focus on, that's a little bit external rotation,
You're
like driving that up.
About 3 sets of 6 on this, Joe, and we just keep going up, so that 6th rep is really hard.
Yeah.
But maintaining perfect execution, right?
Yeah.
So I like this. So even though it's only 6 reps, it's a lot of tension on the muscle, and 6 reps actually kind of feels like 12.
Yeah.
Feels good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, guys.
One more past that still, I think. Now I'm ready. All right. So on this one here, seat height, I always say err on the side of higher rather than lower. And really you want your elbow and hand finishing down towards your hip. So if you had the seat too low, turn into more of a bicep curl, hand would finish towards the chest. And as far as the hand placement goes, most people I just recommend on rowing machines, just go single arm. He's just trying to get his upper arm passing right at his side, and sometimes, depending on how big you are, how narrow or wide the handles are, that may or may not fit you.
So one of the things that I noticed, I could see you in the movement doing it. When you lower it, you're lowering it with your lats. I can visually see it. I know that's what you're trying to do. I try to explain that to people doing the cable row, especially a low row. Like don't just reach forward. Like lower it with your lats.
Yeah.
Like leave the tension in there. So it's pretty cool. So it's pretty cool. I can see you doing that when you're lowering it. You're lowering it with your lats. You're not just reaching.
And I always tell people, like good cue for that is feel like you're always driving your elbow to the floor, even when you're letting it out. Because you can see if I just let it out, my elbow can come up like that. I can do biceps. Where if you're here, keep the lat tight. Will drive the elbow to the floor, and feel like you're driving it down as you reach out. Have to keep your lat tight for sure.
So this is pretty cool. I normally move on to stuff more explosive, kind of more compound movements, which is exactly what Joe was talking about. And Joe's done a really good job of getting my lats super fired up, and they feel awesome on this exercise. So we're going to be explosive, but it doesn't mean you're sloppy. You can be explosive and you can move weight and still keep tension on the muscle, okay? So I'm gonna do a set here, and then Joe's gonna share with you some tips on how he does it.
Kind of like John said, I think one of the best cues that I can give is that you're just not throwing it. You know, so you can have hard contractions, but not launch the weight, where there's a point where the weight's essentially just floating. And if you have an exercise where you can actually make it float, either one, you're probably not using your muscle at all, or two, the weight is too light. I don't remember who said it, somebody smart said to treat lightweight like heavyweight and your heavyweight like lightweight, to an extent where it's really like, obviously if you're doing a warm-up set or a very lightweight, when you're practicing and you're doing it, you're intentionally moving it slower when you can. And if you have an appropriate load, meaning you're actually training heavy enough for your hard sets, you can contract as hard as you can contract, and it really shouldn't move that fast to the point where it's actually launching or being
All right,
thrown.
so what Joe and I are doing now is we've been doing sets of 8 on this, and we got to a point where we kind of lost our range of motion, so we know the weight's heavy enough. So this is a cool machine here. So we've moved the weight from the bottom peg to the top peg, and what it's going to do is it's going to make the bottom harder, but as we pull through the range of motion, it'll get a little lighter at the top, so we can get back that range of motion we lost, but we got to work harder at the bottom, so it's just a nice little variation. So here we go. So we were shooting for 8 on that last one, we got 6. We got a little bit crazy with the weight, but that's okay, man. Sometimes you gotta do that.
So just doing a rope pullover variation. You know, one, it's a great exercise for taking the lat pretty much through its full contractile range. So there's a few things, you can load it from here to here. I've got 2 ropes on here because 2 ropes is twice as good as 1. I've got 2 ropes on here because it'll let the arm clear your body a little bit better. So imagine if I have a little narrow rope, I can't get back here as well, because I can just split the handles and let my arm go where it's actually supposed to go. And then the nice part too is we're just taking the elbow out of it. So we've done a lot of rowing stuff already. So what we're gonna do here is just hopefully focus just on our lats and take everything else out of it. So rep range here, probably keeping somewhere, I'll say 10 to 15-ish, and really emphasizing to start the position where we're getting our arms all the way at the side, where the lat's very contracted, and then you'll see we're gonna extend the set for a couple ones with partials just at the top. So I like to lean forward a little bit on that one and just focus on where the lat's in more of a stretched position. So if you want to get fancy, when I'm focusing on that shortened or contracted position of the lat, I like to be stood up a little bit more. And then when I'm fatigued and you want to focus on a little bit more the stretched position of the lat, then you can lean forward a little bit more, get a little bit more tension and a little bit more load in that stretched position. If you're kind of new to the movement, just maybe pick somewhere in between, maybe 45-degree-ish angle, but there's nothing wrong with starting a little bit more upright and then finishing a little bit more lean forward.
So one of the things I have people doing this, I don't think people really think about this, but whether it's a dumbbell row or this one-arm barbell row, one of the things I like to do to create a stretch is the side that you're rowing with. You raise that hip up with just a hair.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit more pre-stretch in the lower lat. I see a lot of people like they're doing the waist training, right?
Yeah.
So just one of the little things I like to have people do. This is a real subtle cue that I think stretches it better. We're doing 3 sets of 8 here on the 1-arm barbell row. This exercise, honestly, Joe, has probably put more muscle in my back than anything. The other version I do, the Meadows row, has too, but just something about this, man, with the being locked into that position so you can just stay tense. Just something about this, man, you know?
Yeah.
But like today, I'm not using the straps, but everything feels great.
Yeah. It's like I just want to, when people, let's get back to the basics. We're like, because people misuse both. Like people go overly slow for the sake of going slow.
Right.
And like, especially if you're doing working loads, and if you're doing really slow concentrics intentionally, I think in the long run that's detrimental. But then other people get the idea of like, I have to be explosive. So they're literally like, they launch something so their muscle might work here and then it just floats up into space and they catch it back down. So it's like, I think the biggest thing most people is just like, whatever range of motion you're using, do you actually feel your muscle the whole time? You know? And then once you get it, contract as hard as hell. It'll move as fast as it's supposed to move.
You know what? That's beautiful because that's true simplicity right there.
Yeah.
But that is really building muscle.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's, I think you get both sides of it. You get the guys that just like the swing weight and they kind of go over the board, I think, with the contracted stuff. And then you get the people that are like the big, I literally almost never, for the purpose, I never write time under tension. People are like, well, what's your time under tension, this and that. I'm like, it's not important. I'm not saying it's not important, but if the people that are asking about the time under tension, probably it's not going to help them anyway. You know, they're overanalyzing it.
So even though it's a 60-second set,
yeah,
it might be 2 seconds of tension.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the times you look at somebody like, if you got somebody that's just doing this, it's like, well, it's not, they're not using muscles at any point in time. You know, it's not that they should be doing 40 seconds. It's like, start with anything.
Phase, I usually do like stuff to stretch really hard.
Yeah.
So on something like this, like if I'm pulling down over here.
Yep.
Trying to rip my out of
All right. Yep.
There we go. That's it. Hard. Yep. Oh yeah, right there. 2 more.
Yep.
Okay, ready. Good. Joe brought us over here. Man, I haven't done this machine in a while. But we did 4 sets of 8. You watch Joe's execution when he does it. You can see his shoulders low. You can see his lower lat actually contracting and pulling. Joe has a really specific range of motion. He likes to keep does the shoulders, which, man, I can relate to that. As we'll see tomorrow in chest.
Right.
I like to get a little bit more of that crazy stretch. So 2 different ways. But you've got 2 different things that you guys can try.
What's up, guys? So we just finished up a lat workout. Did a little bit of everything, high volume. So definitely hit the lats from pretty much every different angle. Want to thank John for having me out. Appreciate you having me here, buddy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
having me
sir.
at his house. And if you guys want to see some more of my stuff, some more execution, some more workouts, check out my YouTube page, Hypertrophy Coach, and subscribe.